Okay, so I'm an engineer. I'm a computer engineering graduate from Waterloo. I'm also a writer and a filmmaker. And I love making films. That's what that's me. And this is my second short film, When I Break, which I've been working on for the past year. I feel very excited and nervous as well. The biggest thing I feel is humbled, like not in the most romantic sense, but in a very damn, I got my heart broken several times in this process, and like I'm still recovering from heartbreak. It feels like, it feels like I've just gone through a breakup. I just want to get started at this point. I think the past few days have been like, this weight of like, I'm ready. I know I'm ready. I know everybody's ready, and now we just wait until it starts. And I feel very appreciative as well that like I had the opportunity to go through this. Most people, they don't, like, even if they want to make a film, they don't get to make a film for like, ever, right? Sometimes never at all. So having made a film at all, I feel very appreciative and very grateful that I had the opportunity. So the movie is about a young man who basically retreats into the woods to kind of get away from the life he's built around himself because he finds it's not like resonating with him. The movie is quite literally about a guy who, is very sick of his life and decides to go out into the woods to get, things out of his way and get some clarity on things. But, we walked into this thinking we have a lot of time and like we can take it easy on a lot of the days, and we were so wrong about that. Like, we did not have time at all. Completely unexpected. Our schedule was messed up. Like, we were just running. It always felt rushed, always felt like we're running around to accomplish things. And that was unexpected. I'm expecting a roller coaster of a ride. I think there's going to be some really funny moments. I think there's going to be some really serious moments. I think there's going to be some stressful moments. I think we're going to have the whole package in the next 2 weeks is what I'm expecting, of every emotion we can possibly go through. I think, quite honestly, I think we weren't prepared for this project. But we wouldn't have known that had we not gone through it. These stories, they kind of start popping in my head and they bother me until I tell them. So I feel like I have to tell them. And like they keep popping up in my head until I have kind of released them into the camera. When I start writing something, it comes as like glimpses to me, right? Like I first see visuals, like visual glimpses first, and then I connect the dots to form a story. But I just find that when that starts happening to me, it torments me until I give it like pen to paper, right? So it doesn't necessarily feel too much like a choice. It always feels like I've got to get this out of like, it keeps coming up, I keep seeing it, I have to get it pen to paper. It needs to become a thing. Like, I need to give birth to this, like, and it's not always a very romantic, it's not always a very romantic and delicate experience. It's sometimes it's a forceful birth. Like, it just is fucking screaming to get out, and that's how I felt about this film. Like, I kept seeing, initially I saw glimpses of just a man walking, right? And I had to really dig inside and figure out what I'm seeing, what it means, and like then connect these visuals through some underlying thing that's probably going on in my head, right? So I think this movie is about what's going on in my head. I think the base idea stays the same, like the fundamental of the film, but the manifestation of that base idea changes as we go along. But it doesn't change in its fundamental sense. Like, the purpose doesn't change. It's only how we capture that purpose. That as we try more things, as we learn along the way, as we discover the characters, as we live in the space that the characters will live in, we are better able to kind of pivot and figure out the right way to express it but what we're trying to express doesn't change from the inception of the idea.
I think my view of the movie hasn't changed much. My view on how to tell, how one should tell a story like this has changed. I don't think my opinion's changed on what it's about or what we were trying to do. The intent, the core of it remains the same in my head. But some of the means we used to do it, that we went about it, like what particular moments of this character's life we chose to display, that I feel differently about now.
Being able to get in the right place when I'm shooting, like internally, to be able to share the experience with the actors that are going to be going through the experience. I also want to be part of that feelings and expressions and experience that will be happening. So if I'm in tune with that, if I'm receptive and sensitive to the story and the characters as we're filming, to me that's a success.
When we sit down in that theater and everybody's there, I would like for us to be able to stop for a moment thinking about what everybody's gonna think, and just sit there and take the movie in as a fresh thing, right? Because when you're working on it behind the scenes, you never see the movie fresh. You always, you've seen it so many times that it's almost like you're going through the same loop again and again, right? But I would like to sit down. For me, success means I sit down and it looks fresh. Okay, and I'm able to do that because I can quiet my mind and stop thinking about all this, what are people gonna think? What's this? What's that? Other than that, filling up that theater looks like success to me. Coming up with a good release strategy, release plan looks like success to me. Doing everything we can, while we were filming, we did do everything we can. And I think doing everything we can for this stage also, doing justice to whatever we can do, right, is also a form of success.
I'm the most confident in my team. In you, in Sid, in Sabrina, in our entire marketing team, in everyone. That's where most of my confidence, in our entire crew really, is where most of my confidence is. And I'm confident in the story.
I feel confident about the music of the film. I feel confident about, I would say, most of the performance in terms of all the actors. I feel pretty confident about the general plot line, right? That it flows and it's understandable. As far as parts of the film go, I feel a lot more confident of the middle rather than the beginning and the end. And once people watch this film, they'll know exactly where those lines are.
I don't think you have to do anything to set the tone for everyone else. Whatever place you're gonna be at is gonna be contagious. So if you're running around stressed, which sometimes the past few days have been like that, you're gonna stress everybody else out. And if you are in a place of calm and clarity, you'll in return give that to everyone. I don't think you can really make an environment without you being in that place yourself. So all you really have to do is be there yourself.
Again, I was naive going into it thinking that as long as I can be in a right place, right mindset, whatever, everybody is just gonna be in that, right? But I do think that is not correct. You have a responsibility to the people that are working with you. You have a responsibility to set goals for them. You have a responsibility to set tasks for them. You have the responsibility to challenge them. You really have to think about it more like a leader. You have the responsibility to motivate them, right? You can't just stand there and be as long as I'm motivated, as long as I'm enthusiastic or whatever. Not that I was always. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it was a very naive on my part that I don't need to manually set the tone. But there is a manual aspect of setting the tone, which is 3 meals exactly on time, sleep on time, you know, and I messed up a lot of that myself, right? We let a lot of those basic things go during our filming, which is very crucial to setting the tone as a director, you know. And some of the other things were like, you know, making sure that everybody has their time and space alone even, right? All these things that, you know, you never think is part of making a film, right? But the reality is they're very important things in order for everybody to be at their best, at their optimal. And as a director and as producers, I think we are very responsible to have that happen.
You know, trying to help other filmmakers make their films. That's something I really want to do. And I would also like to try to make a documentary someday. Those are some of the things I'd like to attempt. And obviously, I would like to make a feature eventually, a feature film. That is really the big goal at the end of this tunnel.
The way I approach things is I like to dive head on into something I'm not ready for. So I would like to work on something of a much bigger caliber than When I Break eventually, you know. Maybe before I do that, there is some, you know, I need to apply some of the things I've learned from this film a little bit, right? But then I know for example, I just want to really get to the first feature film, and I know it's gonna be a massive lesson. Like, it's like, this is nothing compared to what I'm gonna feel afterwards in terms of like, wow, I did not fucking know how to make a film. And I'm just trying to get to that as quickly as I can. And of course, I don't want to show up completely unprepared, but I do want to dive in and just learn the hard, brutal way.
I want to really figure out a way where I can help this community, the film community. And I'm not entirely sure how yet, but I think that's what the next 1 or 2 years are like for me, is setting the foundation to be able to do that.
In the next couple of years, I see myself making my first feature film, and I see myself doing whatever I need to do to be able to do that. I used to think it'll happen, right? Like, I had a very instinctive way of thinking about directing, right? Like, if I just am clear and I just am in the right place, things will just happen. I learned the importance of having plans. I learned the importance of, you know, keeping people happy, the crew and the set. I learned the importance of having a good routine. I learned the importance of, you know, trying to be able to block all the technical things out and just be present with your actors. And I would say also the importance of, most importantly probably, the importance of being decisive, right? You can't keep going back and forth. You have to be decisive, because basically when you're going back and forth, when I was going back and forth, basically what I'm saying to myself is I'm too scared or too insecure to just, like, how do I want it to look? Right? Like, I'm too scared that, like, and because I'm so insecure and not in those moments when I'm being indecisive, right? I can't hear clearly or see clearly what it is, how it is I want it to look. Right? That's something I learned I have to really work on. Like, I don't think my instincts lie to me, but I have to be able to, when I hear them, I have to just call it and just make it and just be like, no, this is what I want to see, and it doesn't matter what anybody else wants to see. I have to respect my time, my space, and I have to respect my vision, right? And I also need to make sure that, like, before walking on the set, I understand, I'm prepared, right? Because my unpreparedness is going to unfold 1,000 times in the crew, cast, set, whatever, right? So I really, you know, owed it to my team a lot of things which I was too naive to know walking in. And I think preparedness is the biggest thing you owe to your team as a director, I think.
So before we cut off here, you know, we've been the benefactor of a lot of support and a lot of people who have followed us through this process. So whether you want to look in the camera or just talk to me, is there anything what last words you want to give to the people who've kind of been following us through this journey?
Yeah, I just want to say like thank you to all the people who've been following us. Most of the people that have been following us have some sort of part in the film, so we couldn't have really made it without them. So I hope when you see this film, you'll kind of see it not as you're watching someone's film, but almost feel like in a way it's your film. And that's more than I could ask for from all the people that have been with us. Like